Open your grill lid right now and look at the grates. Go ahead. I will wait. That black tar-like crust welded to the metal, the stuff that flakes onto your burgers, the buildup you quietly scrape down before guests arrive so nobody sees what you have been cooking on. You have attacked it. Wire brush until your shoulder ached, degreaser overnight, burners on high for an hour hoping it would just burn away. For a few minutes it looks better. Then the black comes right back. Here's the part nobody selling you grill cleaner wants you to understand. The reason it always returns is the same reason your method was doomed from the first scrub. Meanwhile, in Japan, home cooks keep steel grates spotless for decades using water, heat, and one thing already in your kitchen. That single difference is going to change how you clean for the rest of your life. Let me show you something simple first, because the whole thing makes sense once you see it. Think about a plate after dinner. Rinse it the moment you finish, and the food slides off under warm water in 2 seconds. Leave it in the sink for 3 days, and the sauce turns into a cement you have to chip away with your fingernail. Same food, same plate. The only thing that changed was time and air. Your grates are that plate, except you are not leaving them for 3 days. You are leaving them for 3 months and baking them at 500 degrees between every meal. So the question becomes obvious. If the mess is just old food, why does scrubbing harder never win? Because by the time you are scrubbing, it is not food anymore. This is where it gets genuinely interesting, and it is the part that explains every failed Saturday you have spent over that grill. When fat and oil hit a hot metal surface in the presence of oxygen, they do not simply dry out. They polymerize. The reaction really gets going somewhere around 400 to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, which is exactly the range your grates sit at while you cook. The long, fat molecules link together into a tough, cross-linked polymer, the same chemistry that turns linseed oil into a hard finish on a wooden table. Woodworkers pay for that reaction on purpose. You are getting it for free on your dinner every single weekend. Every time you fire up the grill, you are not just cooking. You are running a small factory that bonds another microscopic layer of plastic hard carbon onto your grates. And here is the detail that makes it hopeless with the tools you own. It is not sitting on top of the metal like dust on a shelf. It has fused to it, threaded down into the microscopic pores of the steel where it grips like roots. Therefore, the wire brush was always going to lose. You are not wiping away a substance. You are trying to grind off a coating that has become part of the surface. And all that force has to go somewhere. So it goes into the grate, into the bristles, and eventually into you. Here is the thing about that brush you have trusted. Those steel bristles shed. They snap off under the pressure you have to apply, lodge between the bars, then hitch a ride into your food, and in thousands of emergency room visits a year in the United States alone, into people's throats and digestive tracts. Surgeons have pulled grill bristles out of patients who only wanted a burger. The tool sold to clean your grill is quietly sending people to the hospital, and you have been pressing it down harder every season because you thought the problem was your effort. But the wire brush is only half the betrayal. Think about the chemical degreaser, the one that promises to dissolve baked-on grease. Those products are surfactants and solvents built to lift fresh, soft grease off a cool surface, and they are very good at that. They are useless against a hardened carbon polymer because that bond does not break at room temperature no matter how long you soak it. So you spray, you wait, you scrub, you get a little of the soft top layer, and the welded base coat laughs at you. Then that solvent residue sits in the pores of the metal and cooks straight into your next steak. So let me reframe the whole problem, because once you see it this way, you cannot unsee it. You have spent years treating dirt that was never dirt, attacking a chemical bond with brute force and wondering why your arm always lost. And the stakes are not just an ugly grill or a wasted afternoon. The buildup you keep is rancid. Old fat oxidizes, and oxidized fat tastes sour and stale, which is why food off a neglected grill has that faint off flavor you always blamed on the meat or the marinade. Every cookout, you are seasoning your family's dinner with last summer's spoiled grease, scattering possible metal slivers, and glazing it all with degreaser residue you never fully rinsed out. Think about who eats at your grill. Your kids, your parents, the friends you invited over because you wanted to feed them something good. That is the real cost of the crust. It is not on the grill, it is on the plate. Now here is where the Japanese approach turns the entire problem upside down. There's a concept woven through Japanese home life called SOUJI, the practice of cleaning treated as a small, constant ritual rather than an occasional battle. Children even clean their own classrooms at school instead of waiting for a mess to build, and that same habit carries into the kitchen. You do not let grime accumulate and then declare war on it once a season. You prevent it from ever bonding in the first place, and on the rare occasion something clings, you intervene while it is still soft enough to surrender without a fight. The Western instinct is to wait until the grill is disgusting and then overpower it with a stronger tool and a stronger chemical. The Japanese instinct is to make sure that moment of disgust never arrives at all. That difference in timing, not in muscle or in product, is the difference between 2 minutes with a cloth and 2 hours with a chisel. But you are staring at grates already wearing 3 months of carbon, so philosophy alone will not save you tonight. Therefore, you have to fight the chemistry with chemistry, not with your arm. Start by doing the one thing every degreaser cannot do. Add heat. Close the lid and run your grill on high for a full 15 minutes until the thermometer climbs past 550 degrees. That polymer was forged at 400 degrees, so you have to push past where it was born to crack it apart, charring that hard coating into a brittle ash instead of a welded glaze. You are reversing the factory you built. While that runs, mix your paste, and the ratio matters more than people realize. 3 parts baking soda to 1 part water, roughly 3 tablespoons of soda to 1 of water. Any wetter and it runs straight off the round bars before it can work. It has to stay thick enough to cling to a vertical surface, like wet sand that holds its shape. Baking soda is sodium bicarbonate, a mild alkaline sitting around 8 on the pH scale, and that alkaline is what breaks grease down, turning the fatty acids into something water can carry away. This is the chemistry the wire brush never had on its side. Turn the grill off and let the grates cool just enough to touch safely. Spread the paste across the bars and give it 5 full minutes, no less, because the alkaline needs that time to creep into the charred film and lift it. You may even hear a faint fizz as it works. Then take a ball of crumpled aluminum foil, dip it in warm water, and run it across the bars. The brittle, heat-cracked carbon lifts away in a single pass, sliding off in dark flakes instead of fighting you because you broke the bond before you ever touched it. No grinding, no shoulder ache, no shower of metal bristles. The foil conforms to the round shape of each bar and reaches the grooves a flat brush skates right over. A quick rinse, a wipe with a damp cloth, and the steel underneath comes back the color it was the day you bought it. That is the rescue. But the Japanese point was never the rescue. It was making sure you never need it again. From now on, while the grill is still hot, give the grates one pass with a damp folded cloth held in tongs so you never touch the heat. The heat does the work. The moisture flashes to steam, And the fresh grease, the soft kind that has not had time to polymerize yet, wipes straight off with almost no pressure. Then drag a lightly oiled paper towel across the bars. That thin film builds a smooth, slick layer the way a well-seasoned cast iron pan works, and it seals the pores so the next round of grease lands on oil instead of bonding to bare steel. Hot wipe, light oil, close the lid. The whole ritual takes under 2 minutes. It happens while you are already standing there, and the buildup never gets the chance to become permanent. You are not cleaning the grill anymore. You are making sure it never gets dirty in the first place. So look at what just happened. The method works in the time it takes your burgers to rest, with a box of baking soda that runs about $1 for 2 pounds and a square of foil you already own. Do the math against the old way. A bottle of degreaser is $8 to $12 and you burn through several a year, and a replacement set of grates is $60 to $150 because the wire brush strips their coating fast enough that people buy new ones every couple of seasons. Call it well over $100 a year to keep losing. Your version costs a few cents per clean, but the real win is not the dollars or the minutes. It is that you finally understand what was actually happening on that metal. You know now that this was never a cleaning problem, it was a chemistry problem, and that understanding is exactly what separates the person who fights their grill every summer from the person who simply never lets the fight begin. And here is the thing about that understanding. The grill is just one surface in your house that runs on the exact same logic. The toilet, the oven, the glass, the tile, the pillows turning yellow on your bed, every one of them has a villain mechanism like the polymer, and everyone has a free fix that works once you know why. So I put all of it in one place. It is called SOUJI, the Japanese Home Secrets Handbook. 251 pages, 32 methods, every one with the exact ratios and the science of why it works, the same way I just walked you through the baking soda. If this video saved your grill, that book saves the rest of the house. One PDF, link in the description. Now back to the black under your lid, because there is one last thing you need to know. If this changed how you see that crust under your lid, send it to the one person in your life who is still out there scrubbing with a wire brush. Subscribe for the next one, where I show you why the rust forming on those same grates is not the grill dying. It is the grill telling you something specific. Open your lid. You will never look at the black the same way again.